Dip, dibbity doo doo. Dip, dip, doobity doo doo. Dip, dip, dibbity 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 doo doo. Doop, doop, doobity doo doo. Doop, doop, doobity doo doo. Doop, doop, doobity doo doo. Doobity 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 doop. Cat in here? Oh, there is. It's Syndra. Syndra's in here. Here she is. Hey, Syndra. Hey, Syndra, come here. Come here. Come here. Come over here. Come on. Um. Um. uh. Wait. Is she coming? I think she's coming. Oh, good. This is... I'm way too big. Here we go. Hello. Hello. Hello, welcome back. It's Thursday. I was a bit busy yesterday. We're getting a bunch of stuff done around the house. Went to the hardware store, went to the home decor store. Did some decorating, did some organizing. The house is coming together. Oh yeah, Casey's been posting some pictures. Yeah, the house is starting to look really nice. Still another week until our new kitchen appliances get here. So until then, we're hanging in there. How about you post the TikTok that was edited 2 weeks ago? Why do you have a pickaxe next to your name? Minecraft 15th anniversary celebration? Huh. 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 Is there food with that drink? Yeah, it's just a sausage biscuit. It's just a piece of sausage on a biscuit. I had a big drink. It doesn't look that big when I'm holding it, because I got a big fucking head. What is a biscuit? Well, it's not a cookie. That's for sure. You miss the QT shops. Honestly, Quick Trip. I feel like there are a lot of people who have loyalty to certain types of convenience stores or gas stations. For me, my loyalty lies with Quick Trip. This is a biscuit. Now taste it. The thing about gas stations or convenience stores, whatever you want to call them, the quality really varies depending on the region that you're in. Like, all of the 7-Elevens here kind of suck. All of the 7-Elevens here are kind of ass. As I keep pressing the ad button, I keep getting ads over and over. I think Twitch is just getting greedy. I never click the ad button. I don't think I understand this bread. It's very buttery, very crumbly. Sometimes we'll serve it with gravy in a dish that's called, believe it or not, biscuits and gravy. This may look disgusting if you've never had it before, but honestly, it's really good. I get it. It might look disgusting if you've never had it before. But this is one of the things that, like, when a European comes to America, they're like, oh my god. It blows their mind. A girl is looking for me, and I know how she looks. I see her, and she is just asking random guys if that's my name. Should I go up to her and say that it's me? Yep, get in there. I'm gonna rizz her up. I believe in you. Not the promotion of heterosexuality during Pride Month. Not the inadvertent bi erasure. Space is silent. Maybe it's because I'm high, but this kind of blew my mind. You want me to address this? Maybe she's there to assassinate you? This would be the worst assassin ever. Literally the worst assassin ever. Just going around and be like, hey, I'm looking for this person. Space is silent because air is necessary for sound to happen. The reason why sound exists is because it's the vibration of air. Or some other type of gaseous medium. I guess it doesn't have to necessarily be air. You could probably hear things on a planet, as long as it has some sort of atmosphere. I wonder what a fart sounds like on different planets. See, now we're talking. Now we're cooking. If it was a very thicker atmosphere, I would imagine that the sound waves would move more slowly, and so they might sound more bassy. Whereas if you were on a planet with a thinner atmosphere, the sound waves might move more rapidly, giving them much more of a treble. Maybe a high-pitched type of gas. I for real looked up how to get a girlfriend so you don't kill yourself. Hey man, let me just say, there are more things in life than having a partner. Having a partner is great, don't get me wrong, and it really can give you a lot of validation, it can give you a lot of sense of purpose, a sense of accomplishment in your life. But the only person that's really going to save your life is you. I walked away for a moment. Did we get to see the wheel? No, I got you. Here. How are we feeling today? Sad? You got a girl out there trying to get to know you and you're feeling sad? Bruh. Bruh. The wheel seems very dull. Maddie, are you depressed? I did some good stuff with my therapist yesterday, still generally slightly anxious. Mmm. 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 What I've come to find is we like a little bit of anxiety. A little bit of anxiety keeps things spicy. Because the truth is, if you never had anything to worry about ever, be real, you'd probably get bored. You're getting some shrimp? That sounds pretty cool. I expect shrimp pics. I expect some shrimp pics in the near future. Oh, hello, Penny. She's just coming in here. Hey, Penny. Come here. Here. Penny, how do you feel? Your nap time? You sleepy? You gonna sit on my lap? You can sit on my lap. How old is that doggo? Guess. How old do you think she is? Seems like it's gonna be big. No, she's little. This is her full size. She's full grown. She's puppy passing. That's what it is. She's puppy passing. This dog is 7 years old. Penny, are you 7? I'm pretty sure you're 7. She just turned 7 this year. And she's puppy passing. She does have puppy privilege, this is true. Whenever people see her, they're like, oh my god, can I pet your puppy? And I'm like, you fooled them again, Penny. You fooled them again. They'll say, aw, how old is she? And I'll be like, she's 7. You know anything about nonprofits? I'm trying to figure out how to help the unhoused here in Southwest Florida and build a community of tiny houses. You know, that's a really great cause to be working with. If you look out within your community, there are probably some organizations that are already working to help the unhoused people. So, what I would do, if you want to know more specifically about how things are done in Florida, maybe even more specifically, like within your county, I would go and just go to one of these organizations and just find some people to talk to that work there. Because these types of organizations are all over the place. Like, we have them here. We have them here. Penny? Who are you barking at? Oh my god. It's Tony. Tony's here. Penny, you know him. You know Tony. Do I have to let you out of the... Do I have to let you out of here so you can go say hi to Tony? Fine. Go say hi to Tony. Fine, Penny. Go say hi to Tony. Here in my county, they're offering so many perks and grants to pay for it. Yeah. Navigating all of that stuff can be complicated, but a lot of community organizations will often have people on their staff who that's a big part of their job, is just navigating grants and funding and all of those things. So, I mean, you might not be drawing a profit from it yourself, but that's going to help you pay contractors. That's going to help you get materials. That's going to help, with other things. Like if you wanted to host an event or a fundraiser or, like some sort of like event with food. See, that's the trick to getting people to come to your event is feed them. Why am I scared to talk to a girl? I don't know if it has something to do with getting rejected by other girls 7 times, but still. That probably has something to do with it. That probably has something to do with it. But if you fall off the horse, you got to get back on. Mind me, I'm putting on hand cream. It's gonna be green screened out. It's invisible. Just laying tile and like grouting and all that mortar and stuff, it's like it dries your hand out. Yeah, from the sound of it, you don't really think they should be rejecting you. I didn't get that impression. Doesn't matter how many no's you get. It just takes one yes. You just gotta keep trying. My recommendation would be focus less on seeking and focus more on attracting. My guess is that you're relatively young. A lot of younger people, and when I say younger people, I mean everybody below the age of 30. People are always still trying to figure out what they want. I would say just focus on building up your confidence. You know, just find confidence outside of having a partner. You know, feel confident in your appearance, feel confident in your body, feel confident in your posture, in your charisma. You know, like these are all things that you can work on within yourself that will be, you'll find them incredibly rewarding. It's worth the work. Pretend that you're dating yourself and treat yourself like your own partner for ultimate self-love. Try to be the type of person that you would want to be in a relationship with. I got blocked by this really hot Aussie because I let my mental own this show. Some Australian. I thought Australians were cooler than that, but I guess I'm wrong. I thought you might be able to connect over your mutual love of the word cunt. find I don't actually move around or get up unless I have someone else's presence. Additionally, and kind of randomly thrown in, I've recently noticed I've been trying to hide bad habits like hitting my pen a few times in a row from my significant other even though I know he doesn't care. When no one's around, I find I do go on my phone, which is typically a sit/lay down free card. It's like I'm waiting for someone to tell me to get going. Now, you might be looking at the camera telling me to do this, which will definitely help, but I obviously need to start doing this for myself. I guess I can look in the mirror and try that, but what's this force keeping my ass down? And I mean literally, my butt always glued to a surface these days. So basically, when I'm around people, I try to be my best, but even then, I feel a need to sneak around them when I'm doing things I know are wrong. Where's the balance? I feel lost, and as conjumbled as this entry. Love you guys. Head's just a little everywhere. This isn't actually that unjumbled, so I feel like you might be being a little bit too hard on yourself. But a lot of people are definitely finding this one relatable. I even find this one relatable. Alright? Like the bed, it's just calling you. I think what you might find helpful is to just really think about what is it that you want to do in your life. Like, what are you trying to get done? What are you working towards? Maybe if we had a clearly defined goal, that would help us to feel a bit more motivated. It's normal to have downtime, to just sit or lay and just do nothing. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what you want to do is just try to monitor how much time you're actually spending doing that. Just saw one of my parents on a dating app, and they had ethical non-monogamy in the description. Where the absolute F do I go from here? I thought they were exclusive. If that were me, I would just try to forget that I ever saw that. I would lock it away in the back corner of my mind. Just try to forget it. Just stuff it down. If your parents popped up, maybe you need to change your age filters. Unless, wait, were you also the person who was... No, wait, no, that was somebody else. Somebody else was in here the other day saying they were trying to find a cougar. Maybe you just didn't have the age filter. You're like, I don't want to be ageist. I want to keep my options open. I would just try my best to forget it. It's like, oh. All right, so moving back into our question here, what I would recommend doing and what I find to be helpful is to reinsert curiosity into my daily routines. So like while I'm doing something or right before I do something, I just check back in with myself. Now, why am I about to do this? What am I doing this for? Like sometimes just reflexively, like you'll pick up your phone and you'll just start scrolling on it, even though you just put your phone down 2 seconds ago and you already realized that Reddit was boring. So I would just try to look at it from a goal oriented position. You know, what is it that you're trying to get done? There will be plenty of time to sit around and lay around, and I've found that those times where you actually can relax and unwind, they're much more relaxing when you've actually done things first. Like after you actually do some work, you actually, know, you go for a walk, you work out, you do some cleaning, you do stuff that you've been meaning to do. It's so much more gratifying to relax after you've actually done stuff. If you're just sitting there relaxing when you haven't really done anything that day, it kind of makes you feel restless and anxious. You're like, why isn't my relaxation working? How come I'm not feeling satisfied just sitting around scrolling through my phone? That's because somewhere inside you, you realize that there are other things that you could be doing that would help you achieve your goals. So I would just say go through your goal list, whatever that may be. What is it that you're trying to get done in your life? Do you need to clean your bathroom? You need to do your dishes? Do you need to call your parents and check in with them? Do you need to study for a test? Do you need to mow your yard? Do you want to go through your closet and get rid of all of the stuff that you want to, donate? Nothing is something worth doing. And sometimes it can be too easy to just fall into a habit of just hanging out. Like the way I look at it is also the way that I look at smoking weed. Like I'm pro smoking weed, but if I just woke up in the morning and smoked versus like waiting until the end of the day, I find it so much more enjoyable and I get much more of an effect, and it's just better when it's just, you delay that gratification. Also, the whole thing about trying to hide bad habits even though other people don't care, this is you this is a little bit of projection. And I'm not trying to make you feel bad or anything, but cuz we all do it. We all do it from time to time. Typically what we do is like if we feel bad or guilty about something that we're doing, we assume that other people must also feel bad about it. Or they might feel bad about us doing it. So we project it onto them. I would just say, what are some of your hobbies? What are some things that you like to do just because you like to do them? Any type of craft or instrument or game or, you know, something that can give you the sensation of building and developing a skill. Because just scrolling through social media, it's a time waster, it's a distraction tool, but you're not gaining any type of skill. And we kind of like that. We kind of like that when we feel like we're progressing. We're getting better at stuff. We're like, oh, not me, Papa. I'm the best social media scroller there is. Look at how fast I can like, comment, and subscribe. You scroll through social media for about 30 minutes, and that's a good amount of time. That's a good amount of time. You don't want to get sucked into it, though, because the social media is designed to suck you in. It's designed to occupy your time. It has been engineered and designed to be as attention grabbing as possible. So you have to have a good balance with it. You have to realize that this rectangle is of the devil. All things in moderation. Just like the devil's lettuce is also of the devil. Yeah, and we like to devil up in moderation. We don't want to be deviled up all the time. Hi. Some months or weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, maybe yesterday, I can't remember. I asked you for help on how to deal with my sister speaking down to me, and you had some solid advice of just asking, how is it you're trying to make me feel right now? And it's super cool advice. Yeah, I told you that was a good one. I told you that was a good one. That was one of my favorite techniques that I've ever conceived. We're gonna call that the Bragan technique. I'm gonna name it after myself. You love the technique? It's such a good technique. Whenever somebody is being shitty to you, instead of allowing it to upset you or, matching their energy, just look them in the eye and just ask them, how are you trying to make me feel? I want you to tell me how you are wanting to make me feel right now. Are you wanting me to feel upset? Are you wanting me to feel sad? Are you wanting me to feel hurt? What is your goal? What are you trying to do? Because sometimes people say stuff, but they don't really understand how it is that they are making you feel when they say this stuff. However, I'm currently sort of stuck with her until mid-August, and it's getting hard to deal with her constant speaking down. The advice is good, but I can't always use that question because sometimes it's sort of too vague of a diss that I can't outright claim that she does it to make me feel bad. Oh, I have other techniques. I have the trick here. Okay. You want to know the basis for this technique? The basis for this technique is pretend that you're an alien. Pretend that you're an alien and you have just arrived to Earth. And so you're unfamiliar with the customs of Earth. You are just curious. You are just so curious about the way that Earth works. And so when people say things to you, instead of responding the way that they want you to respond, you ask them a question. Generic name Go, thank you for the 10 months. Let's go. Another phrase that you can use is there a kinder way to say that? Is there a kinder way to say that? Because I don't feel especially motivated with your current delivery. So is there a kinder way that you could say that? Like, people become overly reliant on motivating others by being mean to them. And being mean to somebody can motivate them to do what you want them to do, but it's just not the way, okay? It's just not the way. It's like if you are a boss and you have workers, your workers won't do their best work if you're just a shitty boss. If you're just always threatening them, if you're just always making them feel belittled, they're not going to work very hard for you. They're just going to do the bare minimum. But if you're actually uplifting and encouraging, they will work so much harder and they will deliver their best work. Do you have something to say when someone's getting louder? I just try to stay calm but fight the urge to be like, hey, stop yelling. Yes. I also have varying levels of sassiness to that, you know, depending on the situation. I can hear you clearly. There's no need to raise your voice. When somebody's yelling at you, it's because they either want you to curl up into a ball or they want you to yell back at them. It's like, what other goals or what other outcomes could you expect? But let me just share an example. In the times where I like worked as a case manager, I would work with, a lot of different clients, and they'd have a lot of different types of mental illnesses, and sometimes they would get agitated over stuff, and sometimes they would yell. But I find that what helps is when a person starts yelling, you actually get quieter. You soften your voice a bit. You say, "Hey, I can hear you. It sounds like you're really frustrated right now. Well, there's no need to raise your voice." I have another technique for you, questioner. I have another one. Are you ready? When somebody offers a diss, this one might sound silly, but just hear me out. Intentionally misinterpret it as a compliment. You know that they're trying to insult you. I want you to pretend that you had no idea what they actually meant, and I want you to act as if they actually complimented you. Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you to say. I love that technique. I love I love that one. Because then it confuses them. Just pretend you misheard them and assume that they said something nice, and then thank you. You're just being like, "Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you." There's also okay. This one, use at your own discretion. Use this one at your own discretion. If somebody tries to diss you, just look at them and say, "Go on. Tell me more. Tell me how you really feel." Because you want to show them that their words aren't upsetting you, and you want to be like, you're basically telling them, "Bring it on. I can take it." But yeah, let it all out. It just sounds like you're having a rough day, so just let it all out. Fire away. That's a dangerous one. I know, that's why I say use that one at your own discretion. But basically, you're just trying to communicate to them that the way that they're trying to make you feel isn't working. I'm wondering how to deal with the exhaustion of being around someone who just wants to push you down every second. Okay. Hear me out. I dream in memes. Thank you for the 27 months. 27 months? Let's go. Let's go. Okay. If a person is trying to push you down, and you can recognize that that's what they're trying to do, and you recognize that they're not doing it for any valid reasons. Like, you're not actually the person that they're trying to make you feel that you are. You just want to try to take a step back from it. They're not pushing you down. You're just watching them do push-ups. Like, let them tire themselves out with their own negativity. I remember some weeks ago she said she tried to be more careful of the process as well. I'm glad that you recognize that. This actually shows a lot of emotional maturity on your part. Like, you recognize that you are healing. You recognize that she is healing. So maybe just try to have a conversation about that sometime. Like, you guys aren't adversaries. You aren't enemies. You're on the same team. So maybe you could find a way to help be more supportive to one another. Also, remember that oftentimes people will take out their aggression or their hostility on a target that feels safe for them to do so. So the reason why your sister treats you like this is because she knows that you can take it, and that you're not gonna slap the shit out of her. You allow her an outlet for her frustrations. When people are hurting, they try to be hurtful. Just don't let them hurt you. Just recognize that they're hurting. Sometimes just asking somebody when they try to just be hurtful or mean, just asking them, hey, what's on your mind? I'm getting into working again and possibly studying, but it's hard to keep a positive mindset when I am, by circumstance, forced to be around her when it seems like she tries to tear me down every sentence she speaks. She doesn't have to be tearing you down. She's in reality tearing herself down because she's damaging her relationships. So just try to recognize your sister as a person who is hurting and who does hurtful things because of her pain. And so you don't need to let it get you down. You don't need to take it personally. Not sorry, no apology for the long text. Good. Good, that was a close one. How do I survive? Should I do mind exercises? Should I go for a walk? What to do? Oh, Mr. Dobain. Oh. If you read this, it means your crush will kiss you soon. Oh, where'd that one guy go? Where'd that one guy go? Is he still here? Hey, that one guy. Hopefully he didn't leave. Hopefully he didn't leave. We just found out that we could have got his crush to kiss him. There we go. Peepo Kiss is now active. Peepo Kiss is now online. I don't know. I feel like in spite of all of these negative interactions, this could be an opportunity to bond with your sister. You know, maybe go out and do something fun together. Good vibes only. What happens in my brain when I feel suicidal? Interesting question. Let's look. Let's do some research. For a lot of people, you could classify suicidal thoughts as almost like an intrusive thought. Sometimes intrusive thoughts will propose like you will be finding yourself thinking a thing like maybe there's a knife on the counter or a pointy object or a steep ledge, and you just start thinking about, I could very easily die. Sometimes this is your brain's way of testing reality. Like, do I actually want to hurt myself? And so you think about it, and you think about what it would be like to do, and you're like, oh no, that sounds like a bad idea, I'm not going to do that. The call of the void, precisely. L'appel du vide. If you're French. Ha ha ha. Research points to specific circuits within the brain for active versus passive suicidal thoughts. So when you're having these sort of passive thoughts, those are more of the intrusive thought type. The intrusive thought type. Whereas active thoughts, like you're actually thinking about, like, what am I gonna do? I want to die. What am I gonna do about this? They occur in different regions of the brain. Now, if you're not a neurobiologist, a lot of this might sound like gobbledygook. But these both happen within the prefrontal cortex, which is the frontest part of your brain. So you have your frontal lobe, right? It's the front part of your brain. And you know what they call the most at the front part? The prefront. It's called, it's not just called the front, it's called the prefront. I don't know why they named it that way. I don't know. When you think prefront, it makes you think of something that's behind the. I don't know. I don't know. I would just like my character to be written off the show. Actually, no. It's time for you to start a new spin-off series with your character, and you get to write the script. You can have an entirely new character arc. One of these days, you're just gonna have to come to terms with how fucking cool you are, and you're just gonna have to suck it up. Sorry. You're not allowed to die yet. You're too fucking cool. The prefrontal cortex is part of the larger frontal lobe. Yes, correct. The prefrontal cortex is the last part of your brain to finish developing. As your brain develops, it develops upwards and outwards at the same time. Kind of like a tree. If you think of how a tree grows, it expands into 3 dimensions. The last part of your brain to finish developing is the very front. Brain tree mentioned. Your brain has a lot in common with trees, actually. The patterns that form in a tree are similar to the patterns that form in your brain. Branches, the upwards and outwards growth. There's a word for upwards and outwards growth. There's a specific word that is used to describe when something grows upwards and outwards at the same time. But I forget what it was. We learned it once in graduate school, and then I never used the word again. But it was a cool word, and I wish I remembered what it was. But if you think about how a tree works, all of the leaves are reaching for the sun. Not all of those branches are going to get there, and so what does the tree do? It lets those branches fall away. Just like in your brain will prune old pathways and old branches that don't serve it anymore, that are of no use. I think what you need is an outfit change. You need to change your wardrobe. It's a great opportunity to redefine yourself. Devin, thank you for subscribing for 14 months. What mental disorder makes me like Cherry Garcia? That would be antisocial personality disorder. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So basically, within your brain, there are different parts of your brain that do different things, obviously. And within a brain of like a suicidal person, there are going to be like the thoughts of like thinking about a thing within like a hypothetical sense that occurs in a different part of your brain. Typically, it occurs in the prefrontal cortex because the prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain that's able to think like, now what would happen if I did this thing? Now what would happen if I did that? And that's the last part of your brain to develop. And that's why teenagers are so impulsive and have a hard time thinking ahead, is because that part of their brain isn't fully cooked. But anyway, there are other parts of your brain that actually plan actions that engage in behaviors. So this is why it's such a big deal whenever a person is suicidal and they actually have a plan. That's a much bigger indicator that they are at a higher risk of actually attempting or committing suicide. Because if you're just having thoughts, it's just thoughts. But if you're actually planning it out, all right, now we want to really take a look at that. It's also really important to remember that suicide is very often an impulsive behavior. So just remember that. It's oftentimes something that people do in the heat of the moment without even, really thinking about it. It's like, welp. The weird thing about feeling suicidal, though, if you ever have had suicidal thoughts, is like sometimes they will pop up for the most random or mundane stuff. You open the refrigerator. You're out of coffee creamer. How am I supposed to have coffee? I'm out of coffee creamer. I guess I could go to the store and buy more, or I could just be dead. That's how suicidal thoughts work. They just pop up when it's like, oh, a minor inconvenience? Maybe I could just die. So what I got into the habit of doing was telling that part of my brain to shut the fuck up. That's not helpful. That's not a good suggestion. Shut the fuck up. It's important to remember that your thoughts aren't reflective of who you are as a person. Thoughts are just thoughts. What matters more is how you act on those thoughts. But sometimes we misinterpret thoughts. Sometimes we associate our sense of self with our thinking. You are not your thoughts. You are just the person who is experiencing your thoughts. Some thoughts are good, some thoughts are dog shit. So maybe you could practice telling your brain to be quiet, or maybe you could tell your brain, okay, thank you for the suggestion. Do we have any other ideas? Imagine your brain and your thoughts as a meeting. And you're at a big table, and you're leading this meeting with all these different aspects of yourself. Like, okay, brain, thank you for the suggestion. Any other options? Any other options? You are not? No, you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are merely an electrical impulse in your brain that is then interpreted by you. You are the person who is observing and experiencing your thoughts, but you aren't your thoughts. That's like saying that you're your farts. It's an inconvenience this morning, but I was able to laugh at it. That's the best way to handle any type of inconvenience or something that would otherwise upset you, is just fucking laugh at it. This is why meditation is so great. You practice just watching your thoughts, and you realize, oh, I'm not my thoughts. I am simply the one who is observing and acting on my thoughts. Thinking is just a byproduct of my brain, just like farting is a byproduct of my butt. Just continue to practice taking a step back from your thoughts and just watching them. Like cars passing by on the road. Or like leaves floating along on the surface of a stream. I'm confused. In what way? Oh, in what way? Just try it for yourself. Just meditate and take a step back from your thoughts and just watch them as they pass by. And what you realize is, I'm not my thoughts. I am simply the one who is observing my thoughts. I don't need to let my thoughts make me feel any type of way. My thoughts are merely a suggestion for how I could feel. Update about being mad at my friends for missing a flight. Our flight yesterday was canceled, so now we're doing round 3. I think I'm just numb at this point. Please send help, please, and thank you. Right? I'm like, there comes a point in any vacation where you're just like, I'm just ready to go home. I'm just ready to be done traveling. I just want to be in my bed with my stuff, and yeah. I think when I get back, I'll write stuff down because I was alarmed by some of their actions, and I want to go more in an in-depth dive when I get home. I feel like their amygdala is numb or something, because I'm sensing danger everywhere, but they thrive off of being in dangerous situations like partying in sketchy areas and liking the catcalling. It's probably somewhere in the middle. It's probably somewhere in the middle. More time to catch up on your book. More time to read. You bring up an interesting point, though, because when you think about it, it's like, well, I'm sensing danger in this situation, and they are not sensing danger in this situation. So who is correct? And what I find with most things, when it comes to different people's perceptions of a situation, most of the time it falls somewhere in between. So is it a risky situation? Yes, probably. You're probably not wrong. Sounds like the type of environment where somebody might get assaulted. But that could happen anywhere. It could happen. It could happen anywhere. So you want to be vigilant, but you don't want to be hyper vigilant. It sounds like they might have been being a little bit hypo vigilant. Hey, you handled it, so give yourself some credit. Have you scooted this summer? I've scooted a couple times, actually. I got the scooters down, got them all charged up. But it's so hot now. We got like a heat wave that just came in. And there's like a heat advisory today. It was nice weather for like a week, and now it's too hot. But I might go for an evening scoot once the sun starts to dip. But yeah, I have been scooting again. It's nice, it's fun. When will we get a scoot stream? That's a bad idea. I should mount a camera to the front of my scooter. And go for a scooter adventure. I think Casey and I maybe we'll do something like that together. Like maybe we'll take our scooters out to the city or something. Maybe we'll go out to one of those places where they don't allow those bird scooters, and we'll just bring our own scooters. The other day it was 102 here. Let me look at the weather. They said, I heard that we were under a heat advisory where I'm at this afternoon. Ooh. This doesn't look good. This doesn't look, this looks ominous. A heat dome. Daily record highs. Isn't that something that you love to hear? Especially when you've heard that year after year for like the past 15 years. Record highs. Like some of these places that are under this like heat dome up in the Northeast, like some of these houses don't have air conditioners. Like they're not used to being this hot. The only record high I'm trying to hit is how many edibles can I take before my brain melts? Oh no, not the purple. Oh, I'm sorry, Chicago, but Chicago is going to be a humid armpit. Living in a hot place can be a challenge, but living in a hot city, whenever a city gets hot, it's so much worse than if you're like out in the country and it's hot. Living in a city when it's hot is disgusting. Just all that concrete just retaining all that heat. It's just radiating from all the buildings and all the roads and all the sidewalks. It's just, ugh. Chicago's nice, but only for like 2 months out of the year. Also, I like Chicago, but I don't want to go back to Chicago because do you remember what they did with their parking meters? Chicago sold the rights to all of their parking meters to an overseas agency for like a flat fee. And so some foreign government has control over all of the parking in Chicago for the next, like, 100 years or something. I forget the exact details. 50 years, maybe? But what they did was they jacked up all the rates, and so now all of the street parking in Chicago is way more expensive, and the money doesn't even go to the city. The money goes to some foreign agency. Holy shit, really? Yeah, let me show you. Why does Abu Dhabi own all of Chicago's parking meter? In 2008, it sold them on a 75-year lease for over $1 billion. Oh, I finally got a new mouse, so my scroll wheel works again. Isn't that nice? In 2008, it sold the access to all of its parking meters. 75 years for $1.1 billion.
If you lived in Chicago 15 years ago, you probably know the details of the city's parking meter deal. But if you're fuzzy on your history, new to town, or just too young to remember, our latest edition of WTTW News Explains has the story of this notorious chapter in Chicago history that is still resonating today. Here's Patty Wetley.
I'm sorry, but how cucked is your city if you sell the rights to all of your parking meters to a foreign investor group for 75 years? Is that just the stupidest thing you've ever heard?
Every time a Chicagoan pays for parking, an investor says, ka-ching. The meters are a serious moneymaker, just not for Chicago. Maybe you've heard of the infamous parking meter deal. Here's why it's so unpopular and how it became a case study in worst practices. Picture the year 2008. A global financial crisis strikes and everyone is a little strapped for cash, including Chicago. The city is broke. Now, if you want to plug a budget gap, raising property taxes will do the trick. But if you want to remain popular with voters, that's not such a great idea. So Mayor Richard M. Daley got creative. He looked around for assets to sell. What about Chicago's 36,000 parking meters? Bingo! A hastily formed investment group, the creatively named Chicago Parking Meters, LLC, agreed to cough up $1 billion in change for a 75-year lease. And Chicago's City Council rubber-stamped that plan faster than members could read the terms of the deal. $1 billion sounds like so much money, and it is, but so much more money may have gotten left on the table. Some analysts believe the parking meters were worth at least $2 billion. As soon as the new renters took over the property, they began raising fees and their profits. A quarter used to buy an hour of parking time. Today? Ha! But wait, there's more. If the city takes a parking space out of service for, say, a street festival or to build a protected bike lane, it has to pay Chicago parking meters for the lost revenue. So now the landlord is paying the renter. Plenty of people have searched for loopholes that...
Isn't this the stupidest thing you've ever heard? If the city of Chicago wants to change its streets, they have to pay those parking meter fees to the... You're in disbelief? You should be. 75 years? Yeah, the parking in Chicago is super expensive now. It has 60 years left on its lease, and they've already made back their initial money and more. And they still have 60 years. Anyway. In case you didn't know, now you do know. How do we even get onto that from this question? Well, we started talking about how hot it was outside, and then I looked at the weather and I saw how hot Chicago was going to be, and I imagined how terrible it would be to be in Chicago during a heat wave, and then I started talking about the parking. Who's going to pay for it? I will. Don't worry. I got it. I'll put it on my credit card. But have I scooted? I've scooted. I've scooted like 2 or 3 times in the past couple weeks. I might go for an evening scoot again today, even. I'm no longer just staring into the abyss, I've become it. How can I unravel this chaos? You've been the abyss the whole time. The mountain is you. Chat, what the fuck are you talking about right now? Can we reel it back in? That's it. How's that for freedom of speech? Feel free to express yourself through emotes. This is a place for mental health. If you want to talk politics, go find a politics streamer. I avoid talking about politics because I believe that everybody deserves mental health, not just people who agree with me politically. If you want to go argue politics, go find a place to do that. They exist. They're all over the place. Go do it there. Don't do it here. We got leftists that watch this stream, we got right-wingers who watch this stream, and I love them both. I might not agree with everyone, but they all deserve compassion. They all deserve to be treated with dignity. These people aren't your enemy. These people, there are people who are your enemy. They're the people who have control of the majority of the capital. And they would rather have you fight amongst yourselves than fight the people who actually do have control over your life. I'm just tired of the question, how will we pay for it? Money's not even fucking real. Money is it's a belief system. It's just fucking paper. It's like, who cares how we pay for it? Just give people what they need. Like, I don't know, maybe those rich fucks don't need a second super yacht. Maybe they'll need a 15th condo. Maybe they don't need another high rise. The billionaires love it that we argue amongst ourselves. Just remember that. Anytime you try to argue with somebody who sits across the aisle from you when they are in the same predicament as you, they love it that you're fighting them. And they love it that you're fighting each other. It's what they want to see. Free. You're free. But I swear, if I see you fighting, what we need is solidarity. It's like, I don't care if you're even a millionaire. If you're a millionaire, billionaires still think that you're a fucking nobody. Like, they'll fucking wipe their ass with $1 million. So let's remember who the real enemies are. You know, honestly, I feel like once you make $1 billion, you shouldn't be able to make any more money. It's like, yeah, you win. You won capitalism. Good job. You hit the high score. You're capped. You don't need any more. I'm no longer just staring into the abyss. I've become it. How can I unravel this chaos? An interesting question. It makes me feel philosophical. When I think of staring into the abyss, what I feel is I am the abyss. The abyss is me. It always has been. It's always been a part of me. Each and every one of us has the capacity to go into a deep, dark place. So what did I do? I dove in and I popped out the other side. I wanted to see where it would take me. If I am the darkness, I am also the light. And they are two sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other. So how do you unravel this chaos? By just trying to find balance in all things. Why do psychologists hide some of their techniques? Not judging, just curious. Well, probably because of things like the Dunning-Kruger effect. The understanding that if a person has like a base level understanding of a thing, they tend to overemphasize their understanding of that thing and they feel that they are an expert on that thing. So you can know that a psychologist does a thing, you can understand what their technique is, but you might not fully understand the nuances of why they do that thing, or why they would do that thing instead of a slightly different thing. Like me personally, I don't mind sharing the techniques with you, but I don't know. And maybe on a more personal level. On more of a personal level, some people like to gatekeep their knowledge. I won't say that this applies to everyone. This is definitely just something that people do on a personal basis. But sometimes when you spend a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of money educating yourself, you want to feel smart. You like that people revere your knowledge and expertise. Like a magician. If a magician explained to you how all the tricks worked, it's like, where's the magic? I don't know. Every psychologist is different. We all have our own approaches to working with people. And my approach is typically, by explaining and engaging with a person on how this works. We're talking about what we're doing. We're also going to talk about how it works and why it works and, give you examples of, how it is working. I find that through understanding of a process becomes more effective for me. Some people don't think that way. Some people think differently. So, it just depends. It's a personal thing. I am B. Wayne's boyfriend, but he doesn't know it yet. How does B. Wayne's boyfriend feel about that? Oh, B. Wayne's not even here right now. Okay. Somebody's having erotomanic delusions directed towards one of my moderators. My dad was very violent, and therefore, anger has a particularly strong negative connotation for me. As soon as I get angry, I notice how the feeling overwhelms me, and I feel like I think and act completely irrationally. How can I learn to deal with anger in a less destructive way? Ooh. Good question. There are different ways that you can do this. You can channel those feelings into different forms of expression. You can channel that into creative expression. You can channel that into physical expression, like running, lifting weights, exercising. Learning a martial art is also a great way to learn how to handle and regulate those feelings. Learning how to turn those feelings and that emotion and that energy that it gives you into a tool, because that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be a tool. It's just about how to learn how to use that tool and learning the time and place for that tool. AKA Calio, thank you for the 4 months. You can also go out into the middle of the woods and scream. That's also something. Or you can scream into a pillow at your house, depending on what you feel more comfortable doing. Anybody here ever screamed into a pillow before? Actually feels nice. Just put your whole ass into it. Just scream like you've never screamed before. Scream your screamiest scream possible. Another way to handle these feelings of anger, so let's break it down a little bit more. Let's talk about it a little bit more practically. One of the things that is really helpful in managing feelings of anger is to get better at observing them in their early stages. When you start to notice those feelings building up inside you before they become overwhelming. So when you start to notice those feelings, just stop and breathe. And just watch those feelings. Maybe they can simmer out a little bit. I've also found laughing at your anger to be helpful. Like in a situation that might normally upset you, try laughing instead. Let me show you a breathing technique real quick. This one's really easy. And this one also helps to relax you at a physiological level, all right? Breathe in through your nose. Now you feel full of air, but I want you to wait a second before you breathe out, and I want you to top it off. I want you to breathe in just a little more. And then I want you to let it out through your mouth. Like, where do you feel the relaxation after you do that? I feel it in my face. I also feel it like in my, like behind my ears. I feel it in my chest and my core. Focus on that feeling of relaxation. Familiarize yourself with that feeling of relaxation. That's what you're trying to pay attention to, is that feeling of relaxation that you get on the exhale. Gotta turn you down. My roomies are gonna think I'm watching porn. Oh! Alright, breathe. In. Fill up. Top it off a little bit more. Almost uncomfortably full of air. almost uncomfortably full. And then just let it go. And what you feel is the relaxation comes in. So just focus on that feeling of relaxation. And then try to feel it throughout your body. You may start off by feeling it in your chest, in your face, in your belly. Try to imagine that feeling just spreading throughout your body. Try to feel it in your arms. Try to feel it in your hands. Try to feel it in your legs. Every time you let go of that air, every time you breathe in and let go, just try to feel even more relaxed. You better be practicing your relaxing. You gotta practice your relaxing. You telling me you thought that you were automatically as good at relaxing as you could be? You didn't think that relaxation was a skill? I hate to warn you, I hate to tell you. Relaxation actually is a skill. It's something you have to practice. So yeah, questioner, just learn to recognize those feelings that you get before you get really angry. Just continue to keep an eye on those feelings so that you can intervene. It's really hard to intervene on your anger whenever you're really angry. The time to do something about your anger is when it's just getting started. You start to feel that pot of water, it's starting to simmer. Like, all right, I need to turn down the heat. I need to take it off the stove. Otherwise, it's going to start boiling over. You know, do some relaxing breathing. Do some stretching. Go for a little walk. Go pet your dog or pet your cat or, you know, do something to help you settle down. Anger is kind of like fire. You can't have fire unless you have all of the necessary ingredients. And if you want to take away the power from your anger, is you have to take away one of the ingredients that are necessary for anger to exist. So you can practice relaxing yourself in a physiological way. Sigh of relief. I feel as though you were the one making the stream political at the time. It became so by bringing up Chicago's parking situation. What specifically did I say that made you think that it was political? Is the politics in the room with us now? What is pathological demand avoidance and what are some strategies to deal with it? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Pathological demand avoidance. I can't talk. Pathological demand avoidance is when if a person feels as if they are being demanded to do a thing, they avoid doing the thing. They don't like the feeling of being demanded to do something. Like I said, hey, clean your room. And they're like, they told me to clean my room. Now I don't want to clean my room. Some strategies to deal with it. Sometimes you just gotta do the thing. I find it helps to look at the bigger picture. Like, why is doing this thing helpful to me? Like, fine, make it about yourself. How does this actually help me? When dealing with pathological demand avoidance, you can try different strategies depending on your situation and depending on what works for you. Some people find that offering themselves more incentive, more of a reward, can help them to do the things that they need to do. Pathological demand avoidance is a relatively new concept within psychology. It's often associated with people who are on the autism spectrum, but it's not just a part of the autism spectrum. I can say safely that this is something that I've dealt with in my life ever since I had my first job. Ever since I had my first job, I remember feeling, oh, I have to do stuff that I don't want to do, and they want me to do it, and I have to do it because they want me to do it. I don't want to. That sucks. I don't want to do that. So what is pathological demand avoidance? If you haven't heard of this before. For some people, anything seen as a demand or a request can feel overwhelming. And it manifests as ignoring or avoiding requested tasks. Often being misidentified as being defiant or oppositional. It's not because they want to be defiant, it's just sometimes the pressure of the demand, or sometimes the it was a high chew, it was especially chewy. Typical traits associated with pathological demand avoidance. Behaviors that appear obsessive, a strong need for control over their environment, mood swings, impulsive behavior, difficulty completing non-preferred tasks. That's the big one. And avoidance of life demands. How do we work on it? How do we treat it? It doesn't say. I think, like many things, exposure is a big one. Like, sometimes you just have to do stuff even though you don't want to do it, and you need to give your brain time to rewire. Like, think about being depressed. I know that they are different, okay? I know that these things are different, but hear me out for a minute. When you're depressed, it makes it hard to do things like take a shower, clean your room, call your friends, go outside, do hobbies, make art. Sometimes you need to find the reward in doing. If you can find the act of doing to be the reward, if you can find the act of doing rewarding, rather than finding completion of the task to be rewarding, or the payment or the reward or the prestige that you would get, the trophy, the grade, the certificate, that's not the reward. The reward is, I am honing my skills. The reward is, I am getting better. There's a lot of association between pathological demand avoidance and autism spectrum disorder. Now, they aren't exclusive, but it most typically is assigned to people who are autistic. But that being said, people who are autistic can learn, and they can practice, and they can do things that they might not have had the ability to do so originally. That's just the beauty of the human brain. Sometimes you just gotta train that thing. Sometimes you just gotta rewire that puppy. So, how do you deal with pathological demand avoidance? It will depend on your specific condition. Just like treating anybody who has any type of condition, you want to cater it to them individually the best that you can. There's no one-size-fits-all way of treating somebody. And so, if you wanted to deal with pathological demand avoidance, I would more specifically want to know what tasks in particular are you having a hard time completing? And then we would want to talk about ways in which we can find motivation and encouragement and a feeling of reward by doing some reframing, by doing some exposure. Like, I have a cousin who has autism, and he sometimes has a challenge with doing things. What I've found to be helpful is to just be as supportive and encouraging and as motivating as I can, to just try to dissuade some of those feelings of reservation. A lot of it ties into needing to feel a sense of control. So part of treating this would also involve getting someone more comfortable with letting go of control, which can be difficult. That's difficult for a lot of people. We like to feel like we're in control. As somebody who has dealt with this from time to time myself, what I've found to be helpful, and it's probably still something that I'm even working on, is just practicing mindfulness, just practicing, just treating it like any other skill that you're trying to build. Like, it's all juggling. It's like every skill is juggling. So you're just learning. You're just learning how to make it a little bit easier. And then you keep working on it, and it continues to get a little bit easier, a little bit easier. The mountain is you. What I've found to be helpful is to just force myself to start doing a thing. Because what I've found is that the hardest part of doing anything is getting started. So if we're able to do that, we're doing good. If you can just get started, it makes the rest of it a little bit easier. So if you're dealing with pathological demand avoidance and you want to deal with it, you want to get better about it, I would just try to sit down and identify what is it specifically that I have a hard time doing, why is it difficult for me to do that, and then think about alternative strategies or ways to reframe it or ways to, just look and think about it differently so that we can find the reward. Because part of what we are working on changing is how our brain feels a sense of being rewarded. If you can find the challenge and the struggle and the work to be rewarding, it makes doing things a lot easier. Like, you don't want to wait until everything's done to feel rewarded. You want to feel rewarded in the act of doing. The whole just do something for 10 minutes helped, right? It's like, what I found helpful when it comes to dealing with this type of thing is just like, okay, well, just start by doing it for 5 minutes. Like, you can do it just about anything for 5 minutes. And then after you do it for 5 minutes, try doing it for 10 minutes. See how long you can go. You gotta surprise yourself. You gotta test yourself. You gotta push your limits. That's how you grow. You expand your comfort zone by making yourself uncomfortable. Just takes time and practice and direction and maybe a little bit of motivation and support. So if this is something that you ever want to talk about more on a more specific level, let me know. Like, what is it specifically that you're struggling with? Acceptance that we cannot control many things is kind of liberating, right? It's very stoic of you. It is honestly such a relief to realize just how little you actually do have control over. Which might sound scary at first, like, oh no, I'm not actually in complete control of everything. And it's like, duh, you never have been. You just had the illusion of control. But that's besides the point. When you realize it's like, oh, I can't control how other people think. I can't control how other people act. I can't control what other people think of me. It's like you can be nice and kind and compassionate and giving and patient and understanding and all of the things that a person would want a person to be, and other people can still hate you. For their own reasons. Who knows? Maybe they're jealous. Maybe you look like somebody that they don't like from their past. Maybe you have the same name as somebody who was mean to them. You know, reasons that are completely outside of your control. Which is why you really shouldn't care so much what other people think about you. You should care most about what you think about you. The only step that matters is the next step, so figure out what that next step is. And if it feels like too big of a step, break it down into smaller steps. TikTok. Alright. How long now until TikTok is banned? How much time does TikTok have left?
Oh! Sharkeisha! Oh my god! Sharkeisha!
This is funny because you think that the person who invented work would be in heaven. They would actually be in hell, working. They'd be pushing a giant flaming wheel around or something while a giant demon whips them. Right? Isn't that where they'd be? Or they'd be in some hellish cubicle filling out a spreadsheet on a hell computer. Some old-ass, crusty laptop from the 90s that... Not if they accepted Jesus and repented, as I understand. See, now, you gotta understand that there are multiple heavens. If that's the heaven you're trying to get into, that sounds like a boring fucking heaven. You didn't know where to start, but through your stream, I found various organizations and builders around this area. I emailed them all. Thank you for helping me get started with something that seemed so impossible. Good work. Hell yeah. See, the thing about work doesn't have to necessarily be bad. People like to be productive. People like to feel like they are contributing. They like to feel like they are adding something to society. It can give you a sense of purpose. What is bad is greed. Greed is bad. Exploitation is bad. So I feel like there is a much healthier way to set up an industrialized society, one that doesn't rely on... Where should I begin? One that doesn't rely on exploiting people, one that doesn't rely on outsourcing labor to underdeveloped countries to exploit them for their, it's like, oh, you don't want to follow the work guidelines of the United States? That's fine. Just outsource your labor to a place that doesn't have workers' rights. Where they can pay somebody pennies on the dollar. It's like, whoever invented that shit sucks. Like, people don't mind working. People just don't want to feel like they're working for somebody else's benefit. Like, no matter where you work, if you feel like if you're building houses, but you can't afford a house, or if you're building cars, but you can't afford a car, like, that feels really bad. That is soul crushing. It's like, sorry, the price of labor has gone up. If the price of everything else has gone up, the price of labor has also gone up. That's one of my main gripes with capitalism, is that it's obsessed with the concept of infinite growth, meaning that things just need to become more expensive unnecessarily so that profit margins can continue to grow. Infinite growth is not sustainable. Ever. You can't keep continuing to make more and more money year after year. I feel like when you put love out into the universe sends it back to you doubly so. And one of the best ways that we can help ourselves is by helping others. Elon recently got rid of likes on Twitter. I hate this update because I'm terrified of getting cheated on. I consider porn and liking pics of other girls as cheating. I'm terrified of my partner just abusing this ability to like this stuff without me knowing. I realize this is a deep issue. My ex cheated on me and told me he would respect that I didn't want porn in our relationship. Then I found out he had been DMing girls and liking thirst traps. I'm just so anxious that my now partner is going to do the same. I have super trust issues, and I need the likes showing. I need. #trauma. It's not right to monitor people, but I cannot trust after what happened. I think you hit the nail on the head when you realize that this is a deeper issue, because you were having anxiety either way. You either had the anxiety that they were cheating on you because you needed to monitor their likes, but now you have anxiety because you can't monitor your likes. This is the boundary that you want to have in your relationship, and if your partner takes your relationship seriously, they will respect that boundary. Like, there are people out there who are okay with not looking at porn, not liking thirst traps. Honestly, that just feels kind of weird to me. It's like, why would you be in a relationship just like liking people's raunchy photos? Like, that's just kind of weird. But yeah, this is something that you want to talk to your partner about. Drink my Big Bev. Means all of that is now on its way to my bladder. I think what will be the most impactful thing to work on in your life is, why is it that you feel that you have to be hyper vigilant? I feel like this is a way that anxiety will manifest. You feel like I have to keep tabs so that I can know that they're being faithful. It's like, but at some point, it's like you have to either trust this person or not trust this person, because for all we know, maybe they have a burner account. Maybe they, are doing it in incognito mode. Maybe they're hiding it. Maybe they aren't leaving a trail. Maybe they don't leave a trace. And so there would be no way of you knowing unless you actually literally saw them doing it. So I would just try to work on that feeling of allowing yourself to trust another person and not feel like you have to monitor them in order to have their trust. Because if you feel like you constantly have to monitor them, that trust isn't really going to grow. It's not really going to build. You're always going to feel like it's basically like you're just waiting for it to happen, which is why you keep checking. Does that make sense? Like, if you keep checking that somebody isn't doing something that you're afraid that they're doing, it's basically like you're just waiting for them to do it. You just see it as something that's inevitably going to happen, but it might not happen. So I would just try to focus on yourself and try to figure out, what can I do to trust again? Because that's what's going to be most important for you to rebuild. Your capacity to trust. Like, I don't know. I feel like relationships like that are possible. Like, I've never felt the need to go through Casey's phone, and she's never felt the need to go through my phone. It's like neither of us have anything to hide. It's like we trust each other. Also, if you've been on Twitter lately, it's gotten so bad. Like, half of all the posts on there either are porn or they have, like, porn being commented on it. Like, you can't go to, like, a meme thread without there being, like, 15 different OnlyFans bots. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I got on Twitter to look at the memes. I didn't get on Twitter to fucking see all these ads for fucking people's OnlyFans and shit. Like, what the fuck? Thanks a lot, Elon. So yeah, we want to just try to figure out what is causing this underlying fear, what is causing this underlying worry, and how can we work on that? Because no amount of checking your partner's phone or checking your partner's activity on the internet is going to cure that anxiety. It's just placating it. I guess, when it comes to trusting people, it's basically just like you have to choose to do it. You have to choose to just, like, okay, I believe you. I will take you at your word. until they give you some reason to not trust them. Is my phone actually charging? Is the question. Sweet. I have a wireless charging pad built into my desk. It's sweet. I can just throw my phone on there. Like, poor Sappy, her husband just checks all of the boxes for being a piece of shit. Like, if there was a job that was, the job title was piece of shit, underneath the job description, it would list all of the things that he does, and he does all of them. He is a perfect fit. Another TikTok, you say?
How to know if white cock or black cock is right for you. Let's talk about it. It's important to know that both will get the job done. But depending on your needs and what you need to fill, one is definitely better than the other. In my case, I will be choosing the black cock for the front. If you are working with a large gap or hole, you will see that this is going to work beautifully. Now for the back door, my preference is a white cock. As you can see here, the slit that I need to fill is much smaller. Now, I know some of you may be thinking it's a little excessive to have two different cocks to get the job done, but I am all about the max efficiency in the shortest amount of time. It's also important to have the right size tip for the hole that you need to fill. Even if your cock is well used and pretty beat up like this one, don't worry, it will still work. Now, the black cock is fairly new to me, but I did decide to go with a larger tip due to the size of the hole that I am working with today. You're going to want to hold it firmly and apply light pressure to the tip, and then gently rub it into the crease or hole that you are wanting to fill. It can be a little nerve-wracking at first, but don't be afraid to really get in there. And really work it into the area, as any excess mess can be cleaned up at a later time. Once you have filled the hole, you're going to want to take your finger and gently rub along everywhere you have put the cock. I advise that you use a glove for protection. Fortunately, I didn't have one handy and I was eager to get the job done, so I went ahead and went without. Not afraid, I think this gives a very smooth finish. Pro tip, you're always going to want to keep a rag around if you're not using a glove, just to clean the excess mess off of your hands. Sometimes it gets a little sticky when it gets hard. Now that it is hard, I am very satisfied with the result.
Well, now you know. I don't think I have the patience for this. I hope y'all have a good day, though. I don't know, Pork Tree. I kind of need my moderators to be made of tougher stuff. You just don't have what it takes to take a good cocking. If my mods can't handle their cock, I think it's probably a good time to unmod me, TBH. Well, now you're stuck. Sorry. Sorry, now you have to be mod. Right, let's shift gears. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. I feel really isolated all the time. I have one person I talk to daily, and I try not to bother them too much because they have a partner and a life, but I bother them all day. I just have no desire to meet or trust new people. Let me pause here for a second. Yes, you do. And I'm not just trying to sit here and tell you that you're wrong. But the fact that you feel isolated That is the feeling of wanting to connect. That is the feeling of wanting to meet and trust new people. That is what it feels like. It feels like loneliness. It feels like isolation. It might not feel like, I should go out and make new friends. I should talk to somebody new. It doesn't feel that way. It feels like despair. Just so you know. So maybe you actually do have that desire to meet new people. You just don't recognize it as such because it doesn't feel like, oh, hey, I want to go out and make new friends. It feels like I am very alone and very lonely. Oftentimes when we isolate and we keep to ourselves and we shut people out and we don't have people that we engage with, we find ways to cope with it. And sometimes we make ourselves feel like this is how I should be, or this is the only way that I can be. And so, just like in many ways, in getting better, you have to prove yourself wrong. If you feel isolated, so many elderly people do too. You know, I've told people that before. I've said, if you feel like you need to make new friends or if you need to get out and socialize, go to a nursing home. Go hang out with some old people. I'm sure they've got great stories to tell. I'm sure they've got great advice to give. You don't need all of your friends to be your age. You can have old friends. You can have younger friends. In my life, I try to have older people that I can look up to, but I also like to have people who are younger than me that I can still, like, you know, because you don't want to, like... And when I say younger than me, I mean, like, early 20s. Like, the youngest people I talk to are in their 20s. No offense, teenagers. I just don't really have much... I just don't really have much of an interest in being a friend with a teenager, which is why I find it so weird that so many people do. That just feels... It feels weird. It feels gross, if I'm being honest. No offense. It's not you, it's just... I'm a grown-up. I want to talk to other grown-ups. Anyway, enough about me. I thought I was going to be with my ex forever, and it's been over a year since we've been broken up now, but I still feel broken. I know I should feel better off, but I have no family or friends around, or even to talk to on the phone, and in my free time, all I want is to talk to someone. I try to enjoy my own company, but I can't. Why? What are you doing when you're in your own company? If you're not enjoying your own company, maybe you need to try doing something different with yourself. Hating myself? Now, is that a good hobby? Is that the skill you want to be practicing? You could be out here learning how to play piano. You could be out here drawing. You could be out here painting. You could be out here putting a jigsaw puzzle together. Doing a Sudoku. You're like, yeah, what should I do with my free time? You know what I'll do? I'll practice hating myself. Because that sounds like a good use of your time. Used to do things with my partners. I feel like sometimes we find ourselves in relationships just because it's somebody that gives us an excuse to do stuff. You need to go do some shit that you're doing just because it's something that you want to do. For no other reason. The only reason is I want to do that. I want to go to the I want to go to the animal shelter, and I want to go into the room where they keep all of the kittens, and I want to play with 50 kittens at once. I even find myself cooking and pretending it's for someone else because I feel like I don't even deserve food. Okay. Hear me out here. Hear me out here. This person that you're pretending to cook for, this someone else, it is you. It is you, the person that you are in the process of becoming. A version of you that does feel that way. A version of you that does feel like they deserve it. A version of you that does enjoy your own company. Did you think that you would be able to learn how to enjoy your own company in a day? This is something that takes time to learn how to do. And this is something that you are building. You are not broken, you are in the process of construction. You are in the process of renovation. And that's okay. It's an okay place to be. You don't want to be done yet. You don't want to be done cooking. You're always going to be a work in progress. Just fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. Everybody who ever maked it, faked it until they got there. How do I make myself feel more worthy when everyone else has made me feel like I deserve to be alone and to struggle alone? How do I stop missing people who do not miss me? By saying goodbye to them. By saying adieu. Adieu. Not I do. Stupid captions. How do I make myself feel more worthy when everyone else has made me feel... Okay. The question here is, how do I make myself feel more worthy? What everyone else has done or how they have made you feel, that is in the past. How long do we need to allow that to affect us? We are in the process of building a new mindset for ourselves, and in doing so, we're going to have to let some things go. So, are these feelings something that you want to pack up? Is this something you want to take forward with you into your new sense of self? Or are those feelings we can let go of? Because from what I've heard, these people who have made you feel this way are miserable in their own way. So they're missing out. So how do I make myself feel more worthy? I would sit down and think about it. I could tell you. I could tell you that you're worthy, but is that going to do anything to make you feel worthy? Are you going to believe me? I can tell you that it's the truth. That I believe it. But I can't make you feel it. You have to find that feeling yourself. So, practice your visualization. Practice your visualization. What would it feel like if I felt just a little bit better? If I felt just a little bit more worthy? If I did enjoy my own company just a little bit more? What would that feel like? If you want to become that version of yourself, you have to get to know them. You don't just wake up one day as the person that you are trying to be. So how do you become just a little bit more of that person? Visualization is going to be one of your biggest friends in this process. Visualization was what helped me the most whenever I was dealing with my own feelings of worthlessness and depression. What I got into the habit of asking myself every day, sometimes multiple times a day, what would I be doing if I were just a little bit happier? Because a lot of time we get ahead of ourselves and we want to have everything as it should be right now. We want to be at our happiest. We gotta get there gradually. We gotta work our way up. How do I stop missing people who do not miss me? Identify what it is about them that you miss and then carry those traits with you. If it's something that you miss, just try to be that. Just try to be whatever it is that you miss. I just miss being around humans, TBH, and a familiar face. How does a face become familiar? All day I just work and see strange faces because I don't know them and they don't know me. Okay, well, how do you do something about that? How do you get to know somebody? How does somebody get to know you? I'm sorry, there's a new rule. You're not allowed to hate yourself, and you're not allowed to defeat yourself. Otherwise, I'm going to be really, really, really mad at you. So you better not do it. You better be nicer to yourself, or ooh, I'm going to be so mad. That's a lot of work and energy. I don't have that energy. Okay. Let me talk about this one again. I talked about this the other day, and I'm going to bring it back up because it's worth repeating. If you feel like you don't have that energy, just sitting around and waiting for that energy to come is going to do fuck all to actually make that energy happen. If you want to increase the amount of energy that you have to put more of a demand on yourself so that you actually start to produce more energy. Because right now you're in power saving mode. If you want to build up that energy, if you want to increase your stamina, you got to start working. You got to start doing it. It's not just you're not just going to wake up one day and be like, "Wow, I feel like I want to go out and make a friend." It's like, no, it starts off by engaging in a polite conversation with somebody and saying, "Oh, it was nice talking to you. I'll see you around. Hope you have a good day." Also, you can try using one of my favorite tricks, one of my favorite techniques in making friends. Just pretend that they're already your friend. Whenever you meet a new person, just pretend that this is already a person that you're friends with. They just don't know it yet. Whenever you run into a stranger, just remember that somewhere in the multiverse, this person is actually your best friend. It's just that in this universe, you haven't met yet. So, just depends on what universe are you living in. Is there any psychology behind people's laughs and what makes them different? I know I have different laughs in different moments. Weird, possibly unrelated, but I learned about how different accents use different parts of your throat/mouth. This is true. This is true. British is in the back of the throat, Australian in the middle, and Americans all in the mouth. When we use a customer service voice, we change our tones, and frankly, talking happier makes me feel happier. Like smiling when you're not necessarily happy. Didn't know if you had any more insight on these things. I have some insight on these things. Your brain is smart, but also dumb. And I'm not saying that you're dumb, I'm saying that the human brain is smart, but also dumb. In that, your brain is highly suggestible. And so if you're smiling, your brain assumes, I must be happy. Otherwise, why am I smiling? Which is why I also recommend that people try to laugh when they feel mad instead of doing the other things that they do when they feel mad, because it offers you a new suggestion for your mood expression. British. The back of the throat. Australia in the middle. America all in the mouth. I would go so far as to say that this is actually... It even varies regionally. Because if you're talking about America, even just talking about America, you're going to get different expressions of accents just depending on which state you're in. Like, let's say, for example, you go down to the great state of Texas. Texas kind of has that classic southern drawl that you think of. You think of cowboys, you think of tumbleweeds, and you think of bull riding. But that's just Texas. Now, if you went down to Louisiana is almost kind of like Texas, except it's a little different. It's a little bit spicier. It's got a little bit of that Cajun flair to it. And if you go down all the way into the bayou, you're going to get some of that Creole accent. You're going to get a little bit more of the, shrimp and gumbo. Meanwhile, people from Tennessee, and some of them other states up there, they got a little bit, it's almost a little bit more nasally. It's almost a little bit more in the front of your face. Like if you're out there from Nashville, you might have more of a Tennessee type accent. The same kind of goes for Kentucky, except for when you're in Kentucky, it sounds a little bit more like you're about to serve me up some of the Colonel's fried chicken. Now, when you get out to Carolina, that's when it actually starts to get a little bit more pageantry in your voice. You got that North Carolina and the South Carolina. But when you get down to Alabama, Alabama's got that bounce to it. Think of Alabama.
Charlotte,
Yes.
these people are going to be here to buy this oven
In
in
an
an hour.
hour? Yeah. Where is the oven? Is it still in the
It's in
sunroom?
the sun.
Okay, so. Alright. The people who are buying our old oven are going to be here in an hour, so I'm going to try to wrap up here in the next hour so that I can go move that oven. Anyway. See me, I'm from the Midwest, so we have more of a Midwestern way of speaking. But branching out from the Midwest, if you go up to Chicago, Chicago's got a little bit more of that Great Lakes type accent. If you go up to Chicago. Now, it's not quite Minnesota. When you get up to Minnesota, it's a little bit more, it's almost Canadian in a way. It's not quite Canadian, it's a little bit of Chicago, but it's also a little bit Canada. All right. Minnesota, it's the home of the hot dish. We don't call it a casserole around here, it's called a hot dish. End scene. Okay. Any psychology behind people's laughs? Some laughs are more reflexive. Like a laugh is like a reflex, just like a cough or a sneeze. It's something that's almost done involuntarily. So where do the deepest laughs come from? They come from way down in your belly. And so when you're laughing, like genuinely, like it's a whole body activity. Like you are wheezing, you are running out of breath, you're having a hard time. You're like your face and your stomach and your ribs, like you're feeling it. It's like a workout. But then there's more like a fake, like almost like a courtesy laugh, where it's like, ha ha ha. It's more just like it's up in your head rather than actually down in your body. So a lot of it's just based on a person's physiology. You know, like people's coughs and their sneezes might sound different. They're just like that. Their laughs sound a little bit different. But when you laugh, I would just recommend just try to put your whole body into it. Just try to laugh from your belly. Ah, 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 ah. Hey, Syndra. Syndra, come here. Syndra, come here. Come here, Syndra. We're gonna get a new oven. We got all new appliances. We got a new fridge, we got a new oven, we got a new stovetop, we got a new dishwasher. Syndra, Oh, hey, baby. This is my cuddle cat. She loves to cuddle. She just latches onto my shoulder here. She just likes me to hold her. Alright, Syndra. You can hang on there while we... I love you, Chad, but saying, is the politics in the room with us now, after opinion extensively about billionaires and then chiding us for talking politics, is not my favorite thing. It was dismissive and mocking of a real concern. Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? Do you still love me? No, let me be really fucking clear here. I don't feel like complaining about billionaires is politics. I feel like people arguing in the chat over being right-wing or being left-wing and using personal attacks isn't cool. That's what I was mad about. Also, let me just be real. I'm up here being nice, and I'm up here being compassionate and empathetic and patient all day. I'm allowed to be dismissive and mocking at least once. But I'm sorry. I'd take it back if I can. I hope you can forgive me. In other words, it's not politics when I do it. I'm allowed to do it because it's my stream. I can talk about whatever I want to talk about. I just don't like people arguing over politics in the chat. That's where I was trying to draw the line. I don't want you guys fighting with each other. It makes me upset. It makes me unhappy. Well, great. Now you're mad at me. That's fine. I deserve it. That's fine. I can take it. I hope I can earn your trust again in the future. I hope you have it in your heart to forgive me. And then he apologized while holding a cat, and I couldn't take it seriously. Giving up doesn't seem so bad. It actually sounds pretty relieving. Yeah, just like taking a nap is relieving. But you know what's also really satisfying? Thriving. Exceeding your own expectations. Proving yourself wrong. Living in spite of all of the shit in the world that sucks. That's also pretty relieving. That's also pretty satisfying. Okay. Okay. Sindra, you're in the back of my neck. Let go, thank you. Girl. Oh my god, you can't really see it, but my shirt is covered in white hair now. How should I have handled it differently? How should I have handled it differently? I just can't stand it when you're mad at me. I guess I'll have to go think about it. I'm gonna go think long and hard about what I've done. I'm gonna go think long and hard about what I've done. Anyways, if you're mad at me, let me know. Send me a private message so that I can apologize to you individually. I don't want anybody to be mad at me. That's it. I'll call it a day. Quit while I'm ahead. I can't help but feel like you're still mad at me. Like croissants? Yeah, croissants are pretty good. The croissants from Costco are pretty good too. It's like $6 for a dozen. It's a good deal. It's a good deal. You want me to just become a politics streamer? I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll give up mental health and I'll just talk politics all day, every day. I'll just be like one of the other people on Twitch. I'll just be like, you know what? Fuck Joe Biden. That guy fucking sucks. You know what? Donald Trump? Fuck that guy too. Fucking sucks. What else? I try to incorporate my politics into my psychology to the best of my ability while also not alienating people for being of a differing political belief system than me. I try to serve a greater good. And I understand that there are things that are important to talk about. It's just, it's tough. It's tough to walk that line. You know, I don't want anybody to turn away from mental health care because I'm a filthy communist or something. Anyway, I'm gonna go move a stove. Anyway, have a good day. Free Palestine. Fuck Zionism. Fuck Joe Biden. Anything else? Did I leave anything out? Oh, we got one more. We got one more. I'll take one more. We got one more. I'll take one more. Oh yeah, free the nipple while we're at it. Like, what's that all about? Like, what's that? Worst timing ever? No, I got you. I got you. I'm sorry. Bonk me. I don't care for talking about this too much. Ooh, you're gonna get it. Get ready. Here it comes. What you get for apologizing around here. You should know better. Sorry for talking about this too much, but you guys are all I have. My friend was going through a lot lately in war. No shit, I know, but like it's getting extra shitty. So lately she moved from where they had their tents previously to another place after it got too crowded. The thing is, after they started packing everything and moved, they found no other place to settle. They ended up waiting for a whole day in the sun, and it's about 40 degrees to find a new place. 40 degrees Celsius would be 104 degrees Fahrenheit. I definitely knew that off the top of my head. I definitely didn't have to look it up. She posted a day on her account about her nephew with sunburns and allergies from the waiting and the harsh conditions. I am helpless. I am there only reacting sad to the damn post. I'm unable to cope. I am going insane. I want to go and hold all of these kids and give them a hug and tell them they will be okay and give them a good life. I am going insane. It's a crazy world we live in. Just try your best to hold it together because there are going to be people who are going to depend on your sanity. as we continue to heal from all of these terrible things that are happening. For a while for me, my mind just decided it's not real, and I kind of coped that way, but it is real. But it is real? So you're saying that it is real? So interesting that you would name a country is real when your country is fake. Not me crying and laughing right now. Hey, whatever you gotta do to cope, you know? Just do whatever you gotta do to get through the day. The only good thing my husband has done is donate to Palestine. Well, hey, even a broken clock is right twice a day. What a weird fucking dude. Just speaks to how some people who are actually really despicable pieces of shit will do acts of philanthropy and charity to feel better about themselves. That is a thing. How about this, Luna? How about this? Do your best to take care of yourself, because people are going to need you at your best. Because you're a good person, and you want to do what you can to help. And so while it may feel selfish to take care of yourself when there are other people who are struggling, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing to do. You need to be at your best so that you can give the best help that you can. Like, as much as you would want to help people in a war zone, sometimes going to a war zone just... sometimes it just gets you killed. And then what help are you? Like, you gotta be a part of building a better world where you're at. There's always gonna be some sort of suffering going on in the world. You need to do what you can to reduce the amount of suffering in your immediate vicinity. Have a chance to go to Gaza to help in healthcare after you're fully done with your graduation? And if you do, I commend you for doing so. It's a brave and selfless thing to do. Give yourself a pat on the back. You're a good person. Don't forget it. I think it would help me too. I think so too. I think getting out of Jordan for a little while might be good for you. Alright, I gotta go move an oven. I gotta go move an oven. Alright, everybody. I will see you next time. I will see you next time. I should be back tomorrow. I don't think I've got anything wild going on tomorrow. Yeah. Take good care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next time. Mwah. Love yourself, or else. Ooh, I swear, if you're not nice to yourself, I'm gonna be so mad. You better do something nice for yourself today. Later, Gators.